everybody. So let's take a moment to just tap into our breath. So eyes closed, hands just resting on your thighs. And at first, without changing your breath, just notice how you're breathing. You can pay attention to the rhythm of the breath, the sound of the breath, the feel of it, and also what parts of your body is your breath getting to? And what parts of your body do you find stay quiet during your breath? And we're going to compare that later on in the class to see if as we do these flows, do we succeed in opening up different areas to the breath. 2 more breaths here. And then gently open the eyes into a soft gaze first, and then slowly allow the periphery of the room to come into focus. And we're going to bring the hands into Lotus Mudra. So you're going to have your fingers spread apart, and the pinky edge all the way along the heel of the hand to the thumb are going to be placed together, but we peel the rest of the petals of our lotus flower away from each other. We're going to set an intention for today's class. I'm going to let you choose your own intention, but I'd like it to be around a theme of embracing today's class with a sense of curiosity, a sense of play, and a sense of non-judgment. So close the eyes for a moment and take a moment to figure out what your intention for today's class will be. On your inhale, you're going to silently repeat that intention to yourself. On your exhale, you can open the eyes and you're going to physically blow that intention into the heart of your lotus flower. And then you're going to curl your fingers around that intention. Imagine that you're capturing your intention in the palms of your hands. You're going to send that intention physically down through your body. Imagine you're pushing it into your cells. And then you're going to energetically surround yourself with that intention, like you're creating a bubble around yourself filled with that intention, and then come back to Anjali Mudra, and then open back up into your lotus flower. And we'll do that twice more. So eyes open or closed. You're going to inhale, silently repeat your intention to yourself. Exhale, physically blow your intention into the heart of your flower. And then curl your fingers around that intention, capture it. And then imagine you're sending it down like a plunger. You're sending it into your physical body, into all of your cells, into your fascia, everything. And then surround yourself energetically with that intention. And come back to do that one more time. So inhale, you silently repeat your intention. Exhale. Curl your fingers around and capture that intention. Send it down through your physical body. And then surround yourself energetically. For myself, it's different for everyone, but when I do this, I picture a bubble, and inside the bubble, I see my intention written in different fonts and different colors, and I keep that around me throughout the whole class. If that works for you, great. But if you want to do something else, that's fine too. And release the hands. We're going to start with Somatic Cat-Cow, so you can come into 4-point position, and I've given you all a little bit of a weighted pillow, so you're going to keep that close by because we're going to use that in a moment. So you're going to set yourselves up with your hands under your shoulders, knees under the hips. Take a moment to really ground into those hands like you're trying to push the floor away. You want to anchor into the knuckle of the index finger, knuckle of the pinky finger, and the 2 corners of the heel of the hand. And then create a little suction action between those 4 corners. And imagine if you had a ladybug living underneath the palm of your hand. You don't want to squish it throughout the whole practice. And then from here, you're going to go ahead and do 2 or 3 cat-cows at your own rhythm. So go ahead and explore a full cat, full cow, but be really mindful. What's opening as you go in one direction? What's lengthening? What's shortening? What moves easily? What doesn't? Notice if you have any areas that feel sticky. And on your next one, come and pause in your neutral spine with the eyes gazing between the thumbs. And you're going to take your weighted eye pillow and you're going to place it right in the small of the back, the part of the back that has that arched lumbar spine. So it's just giving us that little bit of extra feedback for the nervous system. And what we're doing is something in gentle somatic yoga that we call means whereby, which means we're going to break down this movement into different parts. So where your weighted eye pillow is, you're going to allow that part of the spine to sink towards the floor like a hammock, but everything else stays neutral. And then curl that lower back, lifting that pillow to the ceiling, again, while everything else stays neutral. So go ahead for 2 or 3 of those at your own rhythm. Bring yours a tiny bit higher. And notice how your cat and cow feels differently when you're isolating one part as opposed to moving the whole thing. Pause in your neutral spine, and you're going to move your weighted pillow to the bra strap or just above the bra strap, or for the gentleman, just slightly above where your shoulder blades finish. That's it. Help you? Thank you. So again, we're using that weight to give the nervous system feedback. You do the same idea here. So now your lower back stays neutral, but you're going to push the floor away to round the area between your shoulder blades, and then allow the chest to soften, and that area between the shoulder blades is going to hammock down as the shoulder blades draw in towards each other a little bit. And notice, how does this feel different compared to when you isolated your lower back? Was one easier to achieve? Does one feel really foreign? Or like you can't even find that part of your spine? That's perfectly normal, but that means it's an area that's good to revisit. Excellent. Great. Yeah, good. Oh. Wonderful. And then we're going to use one more positioning of that weight. You're going to place it on the crook of the neck, that curve of the neck. So now we're going to isolate just the cervical spine. We're going to keep the movement of the head quite small. Everything else stays neutral. You're going to imagine nodding your head a little bit to lengthen the base of the skull, lengthen through the neck, and allow that cervical spine to go into a little bit of a curve, a little bit of flexion. To go in the opposite direction, think length. So lengthen out through the crown of your head and come on up only as far as you feel you can maintain length at the back of the neck. Beautiful. Just do one more each direction like that. It's rare that we isolate these parts, but it's such a beautiful way of educating the nervous system. And we're using pandiculation here with the resistance of gravity and our own body weight. Okay, pause here, neutral. You can remove your weights, just let them come down to the floor. And now we're going to go back into a full cat-cow, but now that you've broken your spine up into parts, we're going to initiate that cat-cow from the tail. So you go as slow as you want to go. You're going to initiate by curling the sit bones and the tailbone under, and slow, 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 pick up one vertebrae at a time through your lower back, through the mid back, through the upper back. Eventually you get to the cervical spine and the head. Pause for a moment when you're in your full rounded back, and then undo also from the tailbone. So you're going to think of your sit bones arching towards the ceiling, and really, really slow, like you're moving through thick, thick, thick molasses. You're going to pick up one vertebrae at a time from your tail, coming through each section of the spine that we worked individually before, until the last thing to lift is the head. Beautiful. Register how that felt. And now we're going to do the same movement, but initiating from the head. So this time, start by nodding the head a little bit. Wait until your full cervical spine has rounded into flexion before you then press through the shoulder blade area, before you then go to the lower back, and before you then go to the tail. And compare which one feels more natural to you. Was it easy to lead from the tail, but really foreign to lead from the head, or vice versa? And just notice. And then same thing to undo it. You're going to start from the head, so keep the rest of the spine round, but undo from the head. Lengthen through the crown, and pick the head up one vertebrae at a time through that cervical spine, then the upper back, mid back, lower back, and tail. Fabulous work. And then find your neutral one last time, and we're just going to integrate all that by going into a circular cat-cow. So try not to think about it too much. You want to kind of get out of your head and into your sense of playful body. You're going to bend one elbow, let your body sort of lean over towards that side, and then create your cat-cow. Again, I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to let you just explore. You're going to go 2 or 3 in one direction, allowing the head to follow in whatever way feels natural. 2 or 3 in one direction, 2 or 3 in the other. let your head just be freely floating along for the ride, and then pause in your neutral spine. Looks really nice. Doesn't that feel great? Fabulous. Come to find your neutral spine, and then we're going to do a somatic child's pose to finish this flow. So the only difference between this somatic child's pose and a regular one is before we sit back, we're going to fire up every single muscle in the body. So imagine that you're going to hug your hands, your fingers, your elbows, your wrists, your shoulders, your chest muscles. And then same thing with the lower body. Imagine pressing your feet into the floor and engage the muscles to hug the feet, the ankles, the shins, the knees, the thighs, the buttocks. And then keeping all that engaged, you slowly pandiculate your way back. Again, it's like you're moving through thick, thick, thick molasses, so you're very slowly allowing those muscles to lengthen. At whatever point you feel you can't keep that hugging action, you then allow yourself to drop into a full rest. So for me, I'm going to put one fist on the other and allow my forehead to rest on my hands. If for you, you feel good letting your forehead go right down to the floor, then please go ahead and do that. We would normally do a couple of those and stay for a few breaths at the end, but because we're filming, we're going to keep it to one full breath in and out in this completely released position. And then I'm going to give you two options to come out of your child's pose. So just listen to the two options first, and then you can choose whichever one feels better for you. So for both options, your hands will come by your rib cage. Option one is you lengthen through the crown of the head and you come up with an extended spine. Option two is you curl from your tailbone and roll your spine up one vertebrae at a time. So whichever one of those versions feels like it makes the most sense in your body, you go for that nice and slow. So either lengthen and lift with a long spine or curl through the tail. Beautiful. Lying on your right sides. So if you want something to support your head, you can use your blankets. Otherwise, you can use your bottom arm to support your head. Top arm is going to be resting alongside your body, and both legs are bent with one leg on top of the other. We're going to start with the palm facing down. This one is called Celtic Cross. You're going to first start by rolling your shoulder and shoulder blade, rolling your shoulder open, sliding your shoulder blade towards your spine. So you're engaging those mid-trap rhomboid muscles. Feel what that feels like. And then notice what it's like to slowly allow those to let go until you come to a full rest back in that neutral starting position. Twice more at your own rhythm. So you're going to engage those muscles that slide the shoulder blade towards the spine, keep the elbow lengthened, weight of the arm is supported on your body, and then notice what it feels like to slowly allow that to let go until you come to a full rest. One more time and maybe change the angle on this one. Maybe you choose to roll the shoulder back but also slide it up a little bit. Or maybe you roll it back and also slide it down a little bit. You explore that as you wish and gently let that go. Then we're going to do the opposite. So you're going to engage your chest muscles, your pec muscles, to roll the shoulder forward all the way until the arm and hands spiral inwards. Notice what that feels like to engage those chest muscles. And then slowly you allow them to open until you come to a full letting go when you're in your neutral. Twice more at your own rhythm. And here too you can explore. Maybe you want to roll forward and slide towards your chin a little bit. Or maybe you want to roll forward and slide towards your pubic bone a little bit. You can explore that. And one of the things the nervous system really appreciates is contrast. So if you notice how one thing feels compared to the other, or how your body feels before a flow compared to how it feels after, it's like it helps to register that feeling, and then the nervous system can find it again a little bit easier the next time round. Okay, so now with the arm resting along your body, we're going to do an action of sliding your shoulder blade towards your waist at the same time that you slide your hip towards your shoulder. So that whole top waist is going to shorten. Shoulder blade to pelvis, pelvis to shoulder blade. And slowly release that. Second one, we're going to do the same thing, but adding a bit of a curl, almost like we did in the cat-cow. So shoulder blade to waist, waist to shoulder blade, but round the front of the body a little bit at the same time. And how does that feel differently? Release that and come to a full letting go. And then the last one, you're going to combine a bit of an arch, a little bit of a back extension as you do shoulder blade to waist, waist to shoulder blade. And release that and come to a full letting go. And then lastly, we're going to integrate that motion by doing a full circle with the shoulder. So let's start by rolling the shoulder back, sliding the shoulder up into the ear, rolling it forward, and sliding it down. You go at your own rhythm for 3 in each direction. If any point along the way you feel that there's sounds, there might be some cracking or popping or snapping, you might feel that it's kind of a staccato instead of a smooth movement, it's perfectly normal. But if you find that, you can use this as an opportunity to use what we call micro movements, where you stay for 2 or 3 repetitions in that part of the action that feels staccato and try to smooth it out a little bit, and then you continue with your big circle. So once you've done 3 times in each direction, you can go ahead and lie on your back for a moment. We're going to do a little body scan, a little soma scan, a little check-in with legs bent or straight. Take your time if you're not finished your circles. And just take a moment to check in. We've only worked one side of that upper body. How does the one side feel compared to the other? How does the body feel as a whole? And it's really nice if you do feel a change, try to label it. Try to give it words. So perhaps it's that you feel lighter on the side we just worked, or maybe you feel more free or more open. Try to put a label to it. And because we're filming, we're going to do it a short soma scan and then turn on to your left side to do the same thing on the other side. So both knees are bent. Top arm is resting alongside the body with the palm facing down. Let's start by rolling the shoulder open and sliding that top shoulder blade towards the spine. How does it feel to engage those muscles in the upper back? So that's your rhomboids and mid-trap. And then release it and come to a full letting go. So go for 2 more of those at your own rhythm. Really engage those muscles. What does it feel like to turn them on? What does it feel like to slowly let them lengthen? And what does it feel like to fully release in between? Beautiful. One more time. Excellent. Same thing going forward this time. So now you're engaging the pec muscles, pec major, pec minor, rolling the shoulder and arm inwards. What does it feel like to engage these muscles? What does it feel like to allow them to lengthen slowly? And then what does it feel like to completely let go in between? Twice more at your own rhythm. This Celtic cross sequence is a really beautiful one for people who are at the computer a lot during the day. We get very tight through these neck and shoulder and upper back muscles. So this is a really nice one to reprogram that whole area. One last one. Excellent. And instead of doing the shortening of the waist on this side, we're going to do one that we didn't do on the other side for the upper traps. So this time you're going to slide your shoulders straight up into the ear to shorten those upper traps and the levator scapula. Slowly release that as you lengthen the arm back down and come to a full rest. Same thing, but this time you're going to angle up and in, so maybe towards your chin as that shoulder blade slides up. How does that feel differently than going straight up? And gently release it until you completely let go. And then last one, aim behind your ears, towards the base of the skull. So you're going up and back. And gently release it. And how does that feel? Beautiful way to reprogram the upper traps and levator scap that gets so tight on so many of us. And then let's integrate all of that by doing the shoulder circles. So roll the shoulder back, shoulder blade comes towards the spine, then up into the ear, roll it forward, slide it towards the waist. Go for 2 more in that direction at your own rhythm, and then 3 in the opposite direction. And again, if you find those areas that are sticky or staccato, feather them out a little bit by doing those little micro movements within that small range until they soften up a little bit, and then move on to your full circle. And once you're done your 3 and 3, come back onto your backs, eyes closed for one more soma scan. Take your time to finish. Legs bent or straight. Try to repeat the same way you did your soma scan before. And take a moment to check in. check in with the whole body, but particularly we work the areas of the chest, the shoulders, the upper back, the neck, all the way into the base of the skull. Now that you've worked the two sides, how does that all feel? Does it change the way your breath feels? Does it change where your breath reaches to? Notice, register any change, and label it. And then gently open the eyes, and we're going to go into swimming frog. So, Gwilyn, I'm going to ask you to demonstrate the version where you're using a ball. I find it's a nice way, we're going to start with the right leg. I find using a ball is a nice way to add a little proprioceptive element. Proprioception is our brain's ability, our nervous system's ability to know where our limbs are in space. We're filming this in Montreal, Canada. We've got snow and ice already. So the more we build proprioception through the lower extremities, the less likely we are to fall. So it's a great thing that we can incorporate. For the arms, I'm going to let you choose where you place them, and please feel free throughout the sequence. If you want to change the position of your arms, go for it, okay? We're going to start with the right leg. So you're going to allow that right hip to roll into external rotation, and then slide that heel along the floor to trace that foot all the way towards your pubic bone or to where it feels comfortable for you. Pause there, and then slowly lengthen that heel right back along the same path till the leg is lengthened, and then come to a full release. Let the foot flop, let the leg flop. And go for 2 more of those at your own rhythm. So you're going to slide the heel along the floor, keeping contact with the ground the whole time. Pause for about 3 seconds when you get to the top, and then you're pendiculating your way down, so you are allowing those muscles to lengthen, but with intention, with mindfulness, with awareness. And at the bottom, fully let go before you do 1 more. And for our purposes today, if your pelvis wants to follow, go ahead and let it follow. If it stays square, no problem. We're not looking to anchor it down. Excellent. So now we're going to do a similar action, but going into internal rotation. So we're going to use the same leg. You're going to allow the leg to fall into internal rotation. As you bend the knee, you're going to start to look over your right shoulder. It's like you've stepped in gum and you're trying to see it on the bottom of your shoe. So your pelvis will roll a bit, your back will arch a little bit. Notice what that feels like, and then slowly slide your way out of it to come back to a fully collapsed position on the floor. Twice more at your own rhythm like that. I find the ball nice here because it gives a bit of a smoother action to it, and you have that extra little added element of having to keep it from rolling away on you. One more time. So feel what it's like to do that internal rotation, and you're engaging those muscles along the lateral chain and along the back of that right side of the body, and slowly release it. We're going to do a very quick soma scan here in the center. I'll take that away for you for 1 second, Gwilyn. So you work one side. How does that feel compared to your other side? We won't stay here as long as we would in a regular class, but if you're watching, please feel free to pause and stay longer. Gwilyn, I'll give you the ball for the other side. Florence and Elsa, go for the other side now. So you're going to do the external rotation version first. Let that knee fall open, slide it up. Good. Keep that foot in contact with the floor the whole time. Pause for about 3 seconds when you get into your position, and then lengthen with intention. And when you get to the bottom, let it all go completely. Beautiful. And again, if your pelvis wants to follow, let it, but notice it. Did it follow more on one side than it did on the other? Feel free at any point if you want to place your fingers right on the hip sockets. That's what we're working right now, that coxofemoral joint where the ball of the femur sits into the socket of the pelvis. So feel free to have your fingers there and really notice that's where the rotation is coming from, and how does it feel? Does it start to free up as you do these repetitions? So no more than 3. And once you've done 3 going into that external rotation, try the same idea going into internal rotation where you're looking at the bottom of your shoe, imagining you maybe stepped in something gooey and you want to see what you stepped in. That's it. Nice, Gwilyn. Don't be shy to let your pelvis roll a little bit more so you're creating a tiny bit more of an arc, like a bow and arrow type motion. Yeah, excellent. So go for 3 of those, remembering when you get lengthened, take a pause, completely letting go before you re-engage to do your next repetition. Beautiful. Everyone take a moment to check in with their fingers. Often when we're working the lower body, we do this with our fingers so that we think with our fingers. Try to get them uninvolved and have the rest of your body relaxed as you focus on that lower body. Beautiful. Gwilyn, you can go ahead and place both feet on that ball. We're going to just do one repetition of the two legs at the same time, okay? So actually, for the ladies who are not on a ball, what I would do is take a moment to fold your mat in half so that it ends up under your pelvis and so that your feet end up on the floor, just so you don't get stuck. The other type of fold, like this way. Oh. Like so. That's it. Okay? Yeah, exactly. So lengthen both legs. It's just so you don't get on your mat. Lengthen both legs, Florence. Perfect. So roll the two hips into external rotation and then slide the heels along the ground to come into your full frog. So both heels come towards the pubic bone to where you're comfortable. Pause here. If you'd like, you can add a pendiculation here by bringing the knees towards the ceiling to whatever angle you feel you want to pause at for 3 seconds. And then you're slowly, with intention, going to allow those knees to open back into your open frog position. And once you're open, you slide the feet along the ground to get that lengthened position until you completely let go. And then we're going to do one of both legs to the side. So it's like you stepped in gum with both shoes. So it's like you've got a mermaid with a tail and you're trying to flick your tail to one side. So let's go to the right first. So you're going to bend both knees, send your heels to the right, look over your right shoulder, and allow your spine to arch a little bit so you can see the bottoms of your feet. Notice how that feels. Enjoy that for a moment. Slowly lengthen your way out of it with intention. Come to a full letting go in the center. And then flick your mermaid tail the other way and look over your left shoulder to gaze at that beautiful tail. Excellent. And come on back down. Beautiful. I'll take that ball. Thank you. You can lengthen your mats out from underneath you. And let's just pause here for a moment to do another soma scan, a little check-in. Got it. So whatever position you were in before, legs bent or straight, mimic what you had done previously. And how do things feel different? Has anything changed? And if it has changed, label it. Give it a word, give it a description. Okay, open the eyes, bend both knees. Florence, we're gonna do restore the core. You're gonna be using this at the bra strap or just above. So Florence is showing a variation using a ball so that we can exaggerate the arch and curl. So we're going to skip the means whereby and go into the full expression of the flow. So with both knees bent, you're going to place your hands behind your head. And what I like to do is place the third finger one over the other. Slide, come to the base of this, come to the curve of your neck. Slide your hands up until you land under the shelf at the base of the skull, at the occiput. Your thumbs are going to go on the mastoid processes, which are the bony projections that are just behind the earlobes. And so you can use this shelf to give yourself a little traction the whole time. So at the same time, both knees bent, Florence, you're going to be sending your sit bones into the floor at the same time as you send your head into the floor. And notice how that wakes up the muscles that run parallel to the spine. So your whole back chain is engaged. Notice what that feels like. And then allow that chain to let go and to start opening by reversing your curl, reversing into a curl, round your whole spine and start to lift the head and chest off the floor. So you're going into a full curl. If you'd like, you can even bring the elbows together to separate between the blades, making sure the head stays heavy in the fingertips like it's a pillow. Excellent. Slowly lower your way back down so you're slowly lengthening the front body now. Come to a full rest once you land on the ground. Now re-engage the back body. So sit bones into the floor, head into the floor, elbows into the floor. Just notice for a moment what it feels like to engage that whole back body. And now slowly lengthen the back body as you engage the front body to bring yourself into a curl of the entire spine, lifting into that chest lift. Elbows can come towards each other to open through the shoulder blades as long as you don't pull on the head. Beautiful. If you're using the ball, it deepens that work in the core quite a bit, and it allows you more freedom of extension if that's available to you. One more time at your own rhythm. So come to a full rest when you land on the floor, and then engage the back body from both ends, so from the sit bones, from the head and elbows. Notice that sensation. What does it feel like to engage those back muscles? And then reverse your curve. Chin down slightly, Florence. Other way. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Slowly, slowly come down. Full release once you get down. Florence, you can remove the ball. And everyone else, you can come into a brief soma scan. So legs bent or straight. Just do a little check-in. Notice how things feel different. What has changed? Has anything changed? Open the eyes, float the arms to the ceiling if rolling up from this position is available to you. If it isn't, turn onto your sides and push your way up to sitting. So your choice. So either bend the knees, turn onto the side to roll up, to push up, I mean. Excellent. Perfect. Just make sure your mats are clear of any props, and you're going to come to lying on your stomach. So we're going to finish with one of the Restore the Core sequence flows, which is called X's. I love this one. Let's start one hand on the other, forehead on the mat, on your hands. Both legs are long. And then because we're women and the breasts make the shoulders roll in, you're going to fold your eye pillow and you're going to place it underneath your left shoulder. I think I stole yours. Lengthen your left arm alongside your body. Your right hand will stay velcroed either to your forehead or your cheek, whichever feels better for you. And if it's available, turn your head towards your right elbow. If that does not feel okay in your neck, it's fine to keep the head in neutral. So we're going to break this down into two parts. Your first action, you're going to lift the right elbow, head, and chest off the mat. So it's like a cobra with a twist. Exactly. Excellent. Come on back down. Then we're going to do lengthening the left leg to allow it to float off the ground. And slowly down. And now we're going to put those two together. So all at the same time, lengthen and lift through the crown of the head, through the leg, and that cobra with a twist. And notice that X, that one X that's firing up from the right shoulder blade right into your left buttock. Slowly lengthen it out as you come back down and completely collapse before you do another round. We'll go for just one more. Length, 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 length. Think as much length as you can get, and then your limbs will just float off rather than trying to crunch your way up. Beautiful. Pause for a moment with both hands underneath your forehead. Do a quick little soma scan here to see how does that feel to have done one side of your X. And just for sake of timing, we're going to go right away to the other side. So change your eye pillow to underneath your right shoulder. Right arm rests alongside the body. Left hand either under your forehead or under your cheek. If it's available, you turn your head to face your left elbow. If that doesn't feel okay, you just stay neutral. So let's go upper body only. So you're going to float by lengthening through the crown, and it's like a cobra with a twist. Beautiful. Try to lift the head too a little bit, false. Yes, parfait. Come on down. Same thing now with the opposite leg. So right leg, think it's getting long, 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 long until eventually it just floats off the mat. Lovely. Come on down. Don't worry about height. Think more of length. And then for 2 repetitions at your own speed, you're going to combine those two together. So everything comes up. Feel that connection from your left shoulder blade to your right buttock. Slowly come down. Really important chain of muscles to wake up. We've got the lat dorsi, the QL, the glute max. Really important chain to support the lower back. Excellent. Quick little body scan with the 2 hands underneath your forehead. How does that feel? And then you're going to place your hands by your rib cage, your lower rib cage. Slowly push up, starting through a cobra, and then turn that cobra into a somatic child's pose like we did at the beginning of class. So start to come up into your extension, and then come up onto hands and knees. Hug all the muscles of the hands and legs, feet and arms, and slowly Pandiculate your way back into your child's pose. Coming to a full rest in whatever position feels good for you. If you want to place fist on fist and forehead on your hands, that's a great position. We're going to end the class here. I'd like you to pause in this position and revisit the intention you set for yourself at the beginning of class. And for 3 breaths, repeat that intention to yourself with every inhale. And imagine energetically surrounding yourself with that intention with every exhale so that you can carry that intention with you as you leave your mat today. Slowly come on up to sitting in whatever sitting posture feels good for you. So you have your 2 choices, either lengthen through the crown to come up in one piece or curl through the spine 1 vertebrae at a time. And sit in whatever version of sitting you like to just say goodbye to each other. Bring the hands to the heart in Anjali Mudra. Hands to the forehead, may we think kind thoughts. Hands to the mouth, may we speak kind words. And hands to the heart, may we act with loving kindness. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.